The secret was very, we kept it for a long time. It was traumatic because it gave me all sorts of physical problems. I had tummy aches, I was indigestion, I was sick and all that. I was happy about my family, and then suddenly it wasn't so good anymore. I was a member of a large family, one of 7 children, the youngest. My father was English, my mother was Italian, and we lived in Sicily. I was 12 in 1939. I was a bit shy being the youngest of 7, but happy, a normal family life, comfortable. We had servants, in those days one did a lot. We had 4 people in the kitchen. My father was then a British consul. My mother, she wasn't working. She was just a mother. In those days you got married and had children, and she had 7. She was Sicilian, completely Sicilian, and he was very English. But the marriage was good. But the fascists would write things on the wall. Mussolini is always right. Things like that. We couldn't belong to all the things that other children did at school. Like we were not allowed to play games because I was British. So I would sort of weep to my mother and say, can I have some money to buy the membership? We won't tell Dad that she would do that. Because it gave you all the benefits of being part of the fascism. And, you could do sport and gym and all those things. And if you didn't belong, you were out of it. So it was all complicated. You felt excluded. I consider myself half and half. All my friends were Italian, obviously, because I went to school there and I couldn't speak English. And my mother was Italian. So really my roots were there. But I felt sort of a loyalty to my father, therefore I felt a loyalty to Great Britain. Our family, we were supposed to be repatriated. And my parents, at the time, thought the war won't last long. My mother said, I'll stay with the girls, you go with Arthur. Arthur was my brother, who was a school-age boy, and he had to go back to boarding school in England. So she said, I'll stay with the girls and you go, it won't be long. I mean, it was crazy when my parents decided, you go there and I stay here. But it was a wrong decision, which many people took. And my mother had a brother who was a fascist. And he lived in Milan, and he said, I'll look after the girls, I'm a fascist, and they'll be okay with me. He thought it was a big shot, and he wasn't. When he said, I'll look after the girls, they'll be okay with me, we were not okay with him. And within a week, we were interned. The police came to the door and said, the English family is now going to be interned. You feel very strange. They say that I'm a foreigner here, but I'm not. We were put on a train with somebody that sort of was in charge and then taken us to Potenza. We couldn't resist anything. We just obeyed as we were told. And the conditions were terrible because it was very, very cold. We had no heating, no comforts of any kind. It was not a camp as such because there was a concentration camp near us where military people were in concentration. And we were sort of free internees, but the freedom was really that, we lived in an appointed place and we had to report to the police station every morning. And not mix with the locals, not go to the cinema, have a curfew, and obviously there was rationing, so the food was very short, money was very short. when my father left, he closed his bank accounts and put everything he had in a suitcase. So the one sister who was married to an Italian would occasionally send money out of the suitcase, full of restrictions. You can't do this, you can't do that. As a child, I went to school. Originally, in the beginning, I went to school, which only lasted about 6 weeks, because soon the headmaster called my mother in and said there is an order from Rome and no internees can attend Italian schools. You know, you leave your friends behind, your home, your roots. I felt homesick and sad. They were wonderful because a lot of people were anti-fascist and a lot of people were sympathetic with the internees. There was kindness all round from the locals. Unlike the Germans, the Italians were very kind. It had far more internees that we could relate to and get friendly with. So it was a bigger place with more internees, and they were all Jewish families. And lots of lovely people, each had a tragedy in their life. They'd lost a husband or a son, or a wife or something. And nobody knew about the camps, you know, how they had died, or whether they had died. And one made friends with a lot of people through old common mutual pain. When the head of police called my mother and said there is a repatriation, another one organized by the Swiss Red Cross, I would strongly advise you to take it, because the Germans are fleeing, taking internees with them to concentration camps. In fact, I think Emma, your eldest daughter, is due for Auschwitz. They gave me a few names that they want. So there was this awful fear, and she accepted. Okay, I'll go. And we were put on a train, third class, for 3 days, via France, Spain, and Portugal. And in Portugal, there would be a plane to bring us to England. We were taken at midnight, and the plane flew in blackout, completely black. And we landed next morning in Bristol. It was strange, it was odd, it was new, something I didn't know. But I've seen Dad. I'm seeing Daddy. But when we came to England, we were repatriated and found the awful situation that my father had now formed another family, which was soul-destroying. You know, to an already damaged teenager, suddenly this had happened. Men have affairs, or women have affairs, whatever. But to me, it was something incredible. How could he do that? You know, my mother, Sicilian, was interned because she'd married an Englishman, and this Englishman betrays her. And I thought it was just a catastrophe, you know. As a teenager, I was a foreigner in my country, a foreigner in England. Now my father had broken the family and all that and all that. So we decided never to tell my mother because she'd suffered enough. And we just kept it very quiet. And the secret was we kept it for a long time. It was traumatic because it gave me all sorts of physical problems. I had tummy aches, I was indigestion, I was sick and all that. I was happy about my family, and then suddenly it wasn't so good anymore. Because of my Italian, I was a very useful employee. I felt I was doing something useful, you know, towards war. Began to feel more at home really, that came slowly, but it came, that I was more at home here. And so it was, now I had a job with a responsibility. I suppose the war makes you what you are. I think it brought you into touch with the world as I had not known. In a funny way, you sort of accept whatever happened to you. One lives through it and one learns, you know. It's an experience of life, really.